A terrible story from the hotel. Hey everyone. Today, I want to share with you a story that I still can't believe happened. It's one of those experiences that completely flips your understanding of travel and hospitality. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and let's dive into this unbelievable tale. Alright, so here's how it all started. A few months ago, I was invited to speak at the International Conference on Quantum Computing in Tokyo. As many of you know, Tokyo is a hub for technological innovation, and the conference is a big deal. Over 15,000 experts from 70 countries were expected to attend. I was thrilled, not only to present my latest research on quantum algorithms but also to experience the fusion of traditional culture and cutting-edge technology that Japan offers. I booked my flight, packed my bags, and even brushed up on my Japanese. When I landed at Haneda Airport, the energy was electric. The city was alive, the neon lights were dazzling, and I couldn't wait to immerse myself in everything Tokyo had to offer. I hopped into a taxi, and as we sped through the city streets, I couldn't help but marvel at the seamless blend of ancient temples nestled among skyscrapers. The anticipation was building. I was ready for an incredible week ahead. Now, here's where things start to get interesting. I had booked a room at a hotel recommended by a colleague. Let's call it the Sakura Royale. Supposedly a 4-star establishment boasting amenities like high-speed internet, an onsen spa, and close proximity to the conference center. As the taxi pulled up to the address, I was puzzled. Instead of the sleek, modern facade I had seen online, I was met with an aging building with flickering signage. The neon lights spelled out, Sakura Roya_E. Yes, the L was missing. I walked into the lobby, which was dimly lit and eerily quiet. The decor seemed frozen in time, reminiscent of the 1980s bubble economy era, faded tatami mats, dusty shoji screens, and a koi pond that appeared neglected. Approaching the front desk, I was greeted by a receptionist named Kenji. He barely looked up from his computer screen. I continued. He tapped a few keys, handed me a traditional metal key attached to a bulky wooden block, and mumbled something about the elevators. As I headed toward the elevators, I noticed a sign. Elevators under maintenance. Use at your own risk. But my room was on the 10th floor, and lugging my suitcase up the stairs wasn't appealing. So, I stepped into the elevator. The elevator groaned as it ascended, the lights flickering sporadically. Between the 5th and 6th floors, it jolted abruptly. My heart raced as I recalled the statistical improbability of elevator failures. Still, being the exception isn't comforting when you're in a malfunctioning lift. Finally reaching my floor, I walked down a dim corridor. The hallway was eerily silent, save for the faint hum of fluorescent lights. I found room 1008 and unlocked the door. The moment I entered, a strong musty odor hit me, like a mix of stale air and something damp. I flipped the light switch, and only one of the 3 lights flickered to life. Surveying the room, I noticed peeling wallpaper and a stained carpet with indeterminate patterns, perhaps once vibrant, now just dingy. The futon on the floor looked slightly rumpled, not the crisp presentation you'd expect. I lifted the futon cover and, to my dismay, spotted several dark hairs and a few small stains. My background in microbiology kicked in, and I couldn't help but consider the potential for bacteria like Staphylococcus or even dust mites. I tried turning on the bedside lamp, it was unresponsive. Moving to the desk, I attempted to power up the TV. It buzzed but only displayed static, despite the region's complete transition to digital broadcasting since 2011. Attempting to connect to Wi-Fi, I found that the hotel's network was unsecured and painfully slow, ironic in a country with average internet speeds exceeding 20 megabits per second. For a conference where I'd need to access high-bandwidth applications, this was a serious problem. Determined to freshen up, I headed to the bathroom. The fixtures were dated, and there was visible mold around the sink. A red flag given the health risks associated with certain mold species. The showerhead was leaking, and water pressure was a mere trickle. As I reached for a towel, I noticed it was damp. Not slightly damp, as if it hadn't fully dried, but wet, as if someone had just used it. Opening the closet, I was startled by the sight of a small rodent darting across the shelf and disappearing into a hole. Considering Tokyo's strict pest control measures and the city's status as one of the cleanest in the world, this was alarming. Feeling increasingly uneasy, I spotted a notebook on the nightstand. Curious, I opened it to find handwritten entries, all in English. The last entry read, Strange noises at night. Can't sleep. Feel like I'm being watched. That's when I noticed an odd grating sound coming from the air vent. It sounded almost like whispering. Rationally, I knew it could be air pressure or faulty ventilation, but combined with everything else, it was deeply unsettling. Deciding I couldn't stay in this room, I made my way back to the front desk. "Excuse me, Kenji-san, there are several issues with my room," I explained, detailing the unclean bedding, the rodent, and the damp towels. He looked at me blankly and said, "We are fully booked. No other rooms." His lack of concern was maddening. I mentioned that, according to the hotel business law in Japan, establishments are required to maintain certain hygiene standards, especially concerning pest control. He simply shrugged. "Can I at least get clean towels and sheets?" I pleaded. He handed me a stack of linens without a word. Returning to my room, I attempted to make the best of a bad situation. But the atmosphere had soured, every shadow seemed ominous, every sound magnified. As night fell, the city's sounds faded, leaving an eerie silence. I tried to work on my presentation, but the unreliable Wi-Fi made it impossible. Around midnight, I heard shuffling in the hallway, followed by soft tapping on my door. "Hello?" I called out. No response. I peered through the peephole but saw only darkness. Then, a scratching sound at the door intensified. It might have been a prank, but given the circumstances, it felt threatening. The lights in my room flickered and then went out completely. The probability of a power outage in Tokyo is minuscule. Sitting in darkness, the whispering from the air vent grew louder. My logical mind struggled to rationalize it, perhaps a mechanical issue? But combined with the other anomalies, fear began to take hold. I felt unsafe. A culmination of health risks, security concerns, and now, inexplicable occurrences. Just as I was considering leaving, the door handle began to turn slowly. Fortunately, I had engaged the chain lock. "Who's there?" I demanded. Still no response, but the door rattled as if someone was forcing it. Adrenaline surged through me. I quickly packed my belongings, using my phone's flashlight to navigate. Deciding not to confront whoever was outside, I exited through the emergency stairwell opposite my room. As I descended, I heard footsteps echoing behind me, quickening as I did. It felt like a scene from a psychological thriller. I burst out into the lobby. I saw that Kenji was nowhere to be found. The desk was unattended, the lights dimmed. I stepped out into the street. The crisp night air was a relief. It was around 2 a.m., and Tokyo, known as the city that never sleeps, was unusually quiet. Standing on the sidewalk, I quickly searched for nearby accommodations. Thankfully, an international hotel chain was just a 10-minute walk away. Bag in hand, I hustled over, constantly checking over my shoulder. The new hotel was a stark contrast, bright, welcoming, with staff that greeted me warmly despite the late hour. The room was immaculate, featuring all the modern comforts you'd expect. The next day, after catching a few hours of sleep, I attended the conference. During a break, I recounted my experience to some Japanese colleagues. They exchanged uneasy glances. One of them pulled me aside and explained that the Sakura Royale had been the subject of local lore, a place where unsavory activities occurred, and guests sometimes reported strange incidents. It didn't appear on mainstream booking sites, and any positive reviews were likely fabricated. I reported the incident to the local police, emphasizing the safety concerns. They took my statement and assured me they'd investigate. Emotionally, the experience left a mark. As someone who trusts data and standards, it was disconcerting to encounter a situation that defied expectations. It reminded me that anomalies exist, and that sometimes, qualitative assessments are just as important as quantitative ones. So, what did I learn from this whole ordeal? First and foremost, do comprehensive research before booking accommodations. Don't just rely on one source, cross-reference reviews from multiple platforms, and if possible, get recommendations from trusted locals. Secondly, always trust your instincts. If a situation doesn't feel right, it's okay to walk away, even if it's inconvenient or costly. Safety should always be the priority. For my fellow travelers and professionals, let this be a reminder that even in countries with high standards and advanced technology, outliers exist. Stay vigilant. If you ever find yourself in a similar situation, don't hesitate to contact local authorities or your country's embassy if necessary. Have you ever experienced something like this during your travels? I'd love to hear your stories. Drop them in the comments below. Let's create a dialogue to help each other stay safe on the road. If you found this video insightful or helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more travel tales and expert insights. For behind-the-scenes content and updates, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at your handle. Thank you so much for watching and for your continued support. It really means a lot to me. In my next video, I'll be sharing highlights from the Tokyo conference, including groundbreaking advancements in quantum encryption that could revolutionize cybersecurity. You won't want to miss it.